it in a second. I'm just navigating some back end stuff. Yeah, welcome, welcome. I'm excited for today's. Did you guys like yesterday's live? It was pretty. I had a lot of you reach out and say, wow, that was really powerful. And I think, when we can debunk the myth of anger, debunk the myth of a lot of things that we might have like been taught or learned along the way, and then we get stuck and it get that those energies get stuck in our nervous system. So I'm just completing some back end things, and as soon as I'm done with the back end, we will officially start. So welcome as you're joining. Please feel free to say hello if you would like. And yeah, can't wait to see what we do. Okay, so it's just sharing to all these other platforms. So this is cool because I'm on my website. And if you are on my website, you guys get to interact with me directly. Yay! If you're not on the website and social media and commenting, awesome. We love it. Feel free to share. But if you want to connect with us directly, you can come to um, katherinemcintosh.com/connect, and then you'll be able to say hello, sweet Nikki. Okay, so um navigating. Facebook changed all its settings, so I'm just navigating. I appreciate your all patience. um so as you guys are here, I would love to hear from you, where you feel like you get stuck being clear in your life, where you feel like maybe something gets, I don't know, short circuited, or you're just not quite um, up to par with where you'd like to be. And maybe it's you get exhausted at the end of the day. Maybe you're not super confident about your intuitive capacities. And, this live really is for anyone, but it's focused on people who are energy workers, massage therapists, acupuncturists, work with energy, coaches, consultants, and the like. So, um, uh, okay, done. So let's get this party started. Okay. So, welcome everybody as you are here and joining. If you're on social media and want to connect with us and interact and ask live questions, come to the website, katherinemcintosh.com/connect, and you'll be able to chat with me. We'll be able to say hi. Pretty cool stuff. So, today's live is learn how to clear your vessel to be a better energy worker, massage therapist, acupuncturist, yoga teacher, coach, workshop, or retreat facilitator. If you're a feng shui practitioner, if you work with kids, this is really helpful. And so, one of the things that used to happen to me, so I kind of came about being an energy worker and being an intuitive as a living by accident. And I'm going to tell that story because maybe some of you can relate. And so years ago, I had just quit my first year of grad school studying somatic psychology because I was really fascinated by the mind body connection. I'd gotten really sick, and no amount of doctors or medical tests or medicine or therapy was really getting to the root of whatever was going on with my physical body. I'd gotten pretty freaking ill, could barely eat, had lost 40 pounds in a really short amount of time, and I was wasting away. And I was also miserable in my life trying to pretend that everything was fine. And so I went to, after 9 months, I met this body talk practitioner, and she was like, I'll give you, a session." And I was like, sure, I'm desperate. So I went to her session fully clothed, laid on the massage table. And I remember her putting one hand on my sacrum and one hand on my belly. And she just started asking me, like, what does your gut know? What does your belly know? What does your body know? And it was the first time, really, in the history of my life experience, that anyone had bothered to ask me what was actually going on with my life. And I'm sure a lot of you can relate. I get a lot of clients in my private practice that are like, I've tried everything. I know talk therapy doesn't work for me, and yet I still have the symptoms. I still have the depression. I still have the anxiety, but yet all these people rarely get to the root of someone's issues. And so this body talk practitioner, after 1 hour, 1 hour, literally 1 hour, I was like 50% of my symptoms were gone. I could eat. I started to feel alive. I didn't feel sick. I wasn't doubled over in pain. I wasn't feeling that like clenched jaw and anxiety. And it was really powerful. And so, and so by an accident, was like, well, if this could do that and relieve 50% of my symptoms in 1 hour. And I had always been fascinated by the mind, by people's behaviors. Psychology fascinated me, but energy fascinated me more. And so I basically quit, went to grad school, decided grad school wasn't for me, and it was an amazing program. It was just that I wanted to reach people in a large way. So I envisioned myself being on stages in front of lots of people, hundreds of people, and maybe someday thousands. And here I was trying my best. And so I realized grad school wasn't the best. At the end of the year, I was depressed. I'd gained weight. I was full of anxiety. I was like, wait, this isn't supposed to happen. I got to figure this out. So I left grad school and I kind of went on this journey to say, all right, what the heck is my next step? So I started studying to get my real estate license, and I was like, "Yep, this is the path. If I can do real estate, then I'm free to travel and do what I love, which is working with people, which is watching people come alive and not live in their sickness or their story or their trauma or their past life stuff." And so, in the process of doing that, I was like, basically, I was getting my hair done for Halloween. I had like a bright red pixie haircut, and I was like, I want to be bleach blonde. I want to be Annie Lennox for Halloween, right? And I was like, yeah. So I went to this hairdresser, and it's like a 3, 4, 5 hour process to go from already colored dark hair to like platinum white bleach blonde. And so she did my hair, and I'm sitting in the hair salon and I'm like buzzing and I'm buzzing and I'm like, what the heck? Why would I be why is my I'm like on fire in the best way possible, right? Like these energy bubbles of like excitement and possibility. And so I started asking her about how she became a hairdresser, and her story was pretty interesting to me. So the next day, I was quite confused, starting to get my real estate license, teaching dance movement therapy classes, bartending, doing energy work on the side, right? And I go on this meditation hike and I was like, all right, universe, what was that about? And this megaphone, like this voice, as if it was speaking on a megaphone from the sky, said the Healing Hands hairdresser. And I was like, seriously, a hairdresser? No way. No way. And so I went to basically study hairdressing, and it was like my whole body was like, this is the right path for now. And so I remember being a hairdresser and really loved the creativity, loved the conversations. People walked away feeling amazing. My single male clients would be like, I don't know what it is, but you give me a lucky haircut. And they're like, I get lucky every time. Right. And so I became known as a hairdresser who like helped single men like get laid, get lucky, right? And I was like, "This is hilarious." And then, you know, moms would come and they'd, like, share their struggles and their challenges, and I'd do their hair, and then they'd come back and be like, "What did you do? I feel amazing. My husband is, like, having more sex with me. He's happier." And then the husbands started to come, and they were like, startup company, like, Boulder was really known at the time for being a strong startup city. And so all these startup guys would come and they were brilliant minds. And I'm always fascinated by the way people think. So I started asking them questions about their business, about their life. And the two professions that people tell you the most, it's not therapists, right? A lot of people hide from their therapist because they don't want to get judged. But it was actually hairdressing and and bartenders. People somehow feel comfortable enough to share with you everything about their lives. And so I was getting the inside story of people's lives far more intimately and deep than when I was a therapist. And I was like, okay, there's something to this. And then I'm touching their heads and we're having these brilliant conversations and their lives would change. And so I realized, that like, wow, there's something to this. There's something to listening, being space, no judgment, not having a degree, not being a therapist, that actually people experience these healings. But I remember as much as I loved it, I would come home exhausted, like couldn't speak English exhausted, especially Friday nights at the end of the night or Saturday at the end of the day. I was like, remember coming home and just laying on the couch. I could barely even like get food in. I was so hungry, so like my brain dead. I couldn't have a conversation. I was like, okay, I got to figure this out because if I want to continue working with people, I don't want to exhaust myself. And so this is interesting. Like Nikki says, sometimes when I finish the session with a client, I might feel either tired or have pain in my body, right? Especially her knees. And so this is why I wanted to do this live for you today is that if you're an energy worker, if you're a coach, consultant, therapist, feng shui practitioner, even if you're a hairdresser, bartender, like whatever it is that your profession is, especially if you work with people, if you're a restaurant manager, if you're a waitress, like all of those things, if you are utterly exhausted at the end of the day. And there's like a good exhausted where you feel like you made a difference, you like still have energy for yourself. And then there's that energy where you are just like depleted and have no energy. And so I wanted to come on here to give you some tips and some tricks that you can discover how to sort of, I call it clearing your vessel so that you can have more energy, that you don't take on your clients or customers' energy, and you still feel great at the end of the day and have leftover energy for yourself. And one of the first things is one, if you feel like you want to prove that you're doing a good job, that you're making a difference. When I was hairdressing, I was trying to prove I was a good hairdresser. That exhausted me. And so at the end of the day, I was depleted and didn't have any leftover energy for myself. So you want to ask yourself, number one, are you trying to prove you're doing a good job? Are you trying to prove you're a good bartender or a good waitress or a good restaurant manager? Are you trying to prove that you're a good healer or energy worker or massage therapist? If you are, that might be depleting your energy and exhausting you at the end of the day, right? And it might also create pain. And so when Nikki says I have pain in my body, sometimes my knees are always two things. One, well, not always, they're usually about needs. If you are not acknowledging the needs you have, if you're setting aside your needs for your clients or your friends or your partners or your children's needs. So I'm not saying um, don't appease people's needs, but also include your needs too. right? And so and these are also about moving forward. So if somebody is not moving forward and you're working really hard to help them move forward, your knees might hurt. So you want to ask like am I trying to fulfill their needs? Yes. And Nikki says I want to help them and change their world, and you absolutely can, but two things. Stop trying to fulfill their needs if they aren't willing to fulfill their needs, right? Stop trying to prove that you can fulfill their needs. They have to choose it. And so, if you've ever had the experience of being forced to do something, you're like, nope, not doing it. And so, when you try to force your clients to want to fulfill their needs, they're going to resist you. And if you're trying to prove that you're good, something in your body, like your knees, might start hurting or you might feel depleted. So, how do you change that? You have to be willing to acknowledge that you are showing up in the best place you possibly can every time you work with someone. And that doesn't mean that you don't have life things that happen to you. You do. It just means that you're like, okay, I'm going to show up in the best way possible that I can today for this person. But here's the but. It's not up to you to change them. It's up to them to choose. And this is huge for a lot of people. If you know you're really brilliant and someone doesn't want to change, that's not on you, right? But you're going to show up and do your best. And so a lot of times, clients that are experiencing the transformation or say they want the transformation, they want you to do it for them. And, there's a saying that says you can only lead a horse to water, you can't make the horse drink the water. And so your job is to lead them. And then when you get them there, it's your job to hold space for them to choose. It's not your job to force them to choose. And so you might want to look at, are you forcing them to choose? You did the hard work. You got them to the water. You got them to the aha or to the place in which they can choose. You're showing them, and sometimes every once in a while, I'll have a client that they have their barriers up. They've been really hurt. They've had a ton of trauma. Therapy or other things that they tried haven't worked for them. So they're pessimistic. And I always say to my clients, I'm like, if you're pessimistic, bring it. That's like great. Be pessimistic. I don't blame you, right? Because we sometimes get a lot of people say, well, we can help you. And then they don't. And so I never assume that I can help them, but I do know that that if I can sort of work with the barriers they currently have, we can get them somewhere. But then when we get them somewhere, it's their job to choose. It's my job to show them that in this moment in time, they can make a choice. And so it just might be that, each of you, the way you're working with, like yoga teachers, coaches, right? Coaches really want to help. But what the thing I love about coaches is coaches also know and are taught that you have to hold your clients or whoever accountable. So you give them like, hey, what do you want to work on this week? I want to work on this. Great. You lead them to water and then you say, okay, when do you want to have that completed by? And so then it leaves it up to the client to do the work. Healers, it's a little bit harder because you're like, oh, I can do it. And you absolutely can. But then there's a moment in your client's journey that it's their choice to change. It's not your choice to change for them. And this is a huge distinction. And so these two combinations, one, stop trying to prove that you can, that you're good, that you're worth it, that you're worth the money, right? Sometimes if you're like, oh, I'm charging a lot, and you're like, I'm going to get it all done. I'm going to prove I'm worth the money. I've done that. I've been there. And and you want to let go of proving. So how do you do that? gotta show up as space and just trust that you're gonna show up in the best way possible in that moment in time. Some days you'll have better days, other days you'll be clearer. Usually if you trust the process and you're not trying to prove, the information of where you can lead your client will sort of be there. But if you're trying to force it, it's hard for it to show up. So I hope that helps and makes sense. And so one of the ways that you can clear your vessel is just to get out in nature every day, to maybe take a few deep breaths, to send your physical body gratitude. And the other one is one, and this is especially true for people who don't think that they're healers or that they heal things or people or bodies or the earth, is to acknowledge that you, as you are, make a difference in people's lives, right? And so, like in Nikki's case, I want to help them and change their world. Nikki, as she is as a being, is going to change their world if she trusts that as she shows up, they change. But if she's like, "I gotta change their world, improve," then she's not being her natural self that actually makes a bigger difference in people's lives. So you guys get, hopefully you get what I'm saying. But this other piece, so you wanna acknowledge that you're a healer, that you make a difference in their lives. And then the fourth piece is that you wanna be space. And the way that I look at this is this idea of I see the body as sort of an entire universe, an entire ecosystem of possibilities. And so if someone's stuck in their kidneys, it's probably related to something in their life that they're afraid of or they're worried about, or maybe their blood isn't pumping. And so you get their blood pumping, they start to have less stress and anxiety. They start to perform better in their work. They start to show up for their children more. And so I see the physical body as this entire universe. And when we, as practitioners, show up in space, and what I mean by that is you have a physical body, and then you also have an energetic body. And that energetic body can literally take up the world, right? And so when you take up the world and you allow your energetic body to be as big as it possibly can, right? And I didn't get this on my own. This is from all the different modalities and things I've studied over the years. But when you start to expand your energy out like you're as big as space, then what you're clearing and healing in others, it doesn't have to stick you. And it doesn't have to stick you. It will stick you if you're trying to prove you can take it out of them, or if you can prove you can try and help transform them. And so there's all these different sort of tips and tricks that you can do in order to be a clear vessel, in order to clear your vessel, and in order also when you're clear and you're not trying to prove and you don't have a point of view and you what I call broadband your energy out. When you broadband your energy out and you're in this relaxed state, information will come to you. Where to go next will come to you. What question to ask next will come to you. Whether to stay silent or have a conversation with them will come to you. And so, I always let as a sort of energy worker, I always let the client lead whether or not to talk or not. And sometimes, every once in a while, even if the client is talking and you hit a roadblock in your session with them, it's like, okay, might be time to ask them a question. Might be time to go deeper. And that involves including them so that they feel empowered, that they don't need you. They might like want you to help them, but they know that they're in charge of changing themselves. And I think this is a huge thing for most people is to not be so focused on the end results, but more be focused on the process of helping them get clarity, on the process of helping them feel better, on the process of like relieving their anxiety. You don't want to get to the end destination. You can, but if you force it, there's there's it's just so much more powerful when you don't. So hopefully that helps. And then I wanted to talk about something else that I think is quite powerful for almost anyone, but especially if you are sensitive, if you work with energy, if you're aware. Um, we've been taught this bad advice, and the bad advice is to focus on one thing. So I know a lot of energy workers, massage therapists, acupuncturists, coaches that they have multiple interests, right? They might be interested in art and music, and they might be interested in adventure and rock climbing, or they might be interested in traveling around the world, or they might be interested in breath work or therapy, or like, and all these different interests. And so I remember when I was working with my shamanic practitioner. I believe, just finished my first year in grad school. It's kind of like looking at what's next. And we were sitting on a bench outside after this week long or weekend long workshop. And he said to me, "What's next?" And I was like, I don't know. Like, I want to do this and I want to do that and I want to do this. And he looked at me, he said, "You know what your problem is, Catherine?" He's like, "You got way too many things going on. You need to focus all your energy on what it is you want to do." And I listened to him and I took his advice, and I decided to drop all my extracurricular things that made me happy. And I tried to focus on just one career path, on just one thing. And in those 3 to 6 months that I did that, I was miserable. Again, gained weight, got depressed. I might have been in grad school. I don't remember. I have a fuzzy memory when it comes to the timing of things. And especially if you're an energy worker and you stay pretty present in your life, your ability to recall timelines of your life might be slightly challenging. So don't make yourself wrong for it. It's just part of who you are. And so I took his advice and I focused and I put all my eggs in one basket and I went for it. And I gotta tell you, I was so depressed after doing that. So depressed. And I realized, like, wow, I need to get back to doing the things I love. And so soon after that, I started to integrate all the other things that I had said goodbye to, that I had left behind, and my life started to come alive. My weight in my body changed. I started dropped the extra weight I was carrying. I started to meet more people. I started to just feel alive again. And so if you are someone who is trying to put all of your eggs in your practice. So let's say you want to build your practice. You want to be a massage therapist. You want to be an energy worker full time. You want to quit your other job. Um, I'm going to say this and I might get some flack for it, but putting all your eggs in that basket, if you aren't fulfilled, if you're not including all the other things that make you happy, it's going to destroy your business. It's going to sort of not contribute to your best self, and it's probably going to deplete your energy. And so when you're building a practice, if it's new, you want to ask, what else can you add? What else makes you happy? And so I say to people, go for it and focus, but focus on what brings you joy. Focus on your happiness. Focus on all the things that bring you success and fulfillment, right? So putting all your energy in making a energy work or massage therapy practice come to life when you have all these other interests and you then put all your energy in it, it's going to start to contract your energy and then it's harder for people to come find you. So the way that I've built all my businesses is I usually have like 10 different activities going on at once. I was a real estate agent. I was a dance movement therapy teacher. I taught dance classes. I bartended on the side. I did energy work part time. I, volunteered. I had like I did all of these things all the time, and they all helped build on one another. So I'm not saying start multiple businesses, but what I am saying is keep yourself busy doing what you love. So focus on I'm going to fill my days doing what I love. And if you aren't loving, right, it, so sometimes we gotta do things that we might not love, like, putting out flyers, like inviting people to experience a session, right? And I always say to energy workers, I say, "Find 10 people in your community that are uber connected." That love what they do and know a lot of people and they talk a lot. And so hairdressers are great, coaches are great, bartenders are great, yoga teachers, like people who are in front of a lot of people all the time, offering those kinds of people a free session in exchange for feedback. I'd like to give you a session, but I'd love your feedback. What worked? What didn't? What would you like more of? Did it make an impact? And you'll start to, one, have these testimonials that give you feedback of where the people you're working on are really enjoying what you're doing. And you'll also then learn what didn't work so well so you can change it. And this is a great thing to do to build your practice. But what's also great to do is fill your calendar with things you love. Things that you love and find things you love to do that also put you in front of more people because if you're an energy worker, you enjoy being like contributing to others and you might be a hermit. You might be what's it called? An introvert. Um, but you also may gain a lot of energy from surrounding yourself like a what is it? A gong bath, right? Or going to a talk of some sort on a topic that lights you up. And so this is your invitation for all of you to do things that light you up. Focus on making you happy. And I'm not talking about the selfish happy. I'm talking about the happy where you're like, wow, I feel really fulfilled and connected to myself, connected to my community, connected to the people around me, connected to my like what I want to do, connected to my mission. And you don't need to know what your mission is, but you just have to get a sense of, what makes you happy. So I always encourage people I work with, I say, make a list of what makes you happy and then do at least one of those things every day. And it will probably change your life. So I'm excited. Hopefully, this conversation contributed to you. For the first time ever, I have, for over 20 years, been asked if I would teach what I do. And I don't have a official professional background. I don't have a certification or a license. I just have literally for the last 25 years dove into discovering what I know about myself, about people, about energy, about the mind body connection. And and I have been asked for 20 years if I would ever teach what I do, and I was like, "I don't know how to teach it. I don't know how to teach it because I didn't have, like, a modality. I didn't have a technique. I just had, like, the knowing, and I studied a lot of different things, and I worked with a lot of different practitioners from a lot of different walks of life, and I had, you know, known for a very long time that at some point I would love to teach what I do, but I didn't want to teach it if I was only teaching techniques or ideas or concepts. I wanted to be able to teach people to trust themselves in how they know they read energy, right? So, really different. When you discover how you read energy, how you work with energy, it literally will change your life. And then you'll know what you need to do in order to be a clear vessel. Because every session, if you're following your intuition, is usually different. And I've had a lot of massage therapists and acupuncturists say, wow, like I know something's happening in my client's body when I put the needle here, or when I touch this point, or when I'm in their on their lower back, or when I'm massaging their shoulders, but I don't know how to work with what's coming up. And so I just do my technique. And I'm really excited for the first time ever to offer this. It's called the Intuitive Energy Course, and it's a 3-month course. I'll untick the thing if you're on the website. If you're on social media, you can come to katherinemcintosh.com/connect and join us live on here. But if you go to katherinemcintosh.com, you can see it on the main homepage. It's called the Intuitive Energy Course. And so for the first time ever, I am teaching, yes, sort of, I don't want to call it techniques, but just ideas for how you can work with a body, for how you can increase their energy, for how you can help with pain. Because sometimes we're like, oh, the pain's here in your shoulder. Okay, I'm just going to press. But the root of the pain might be somewhere completely different in the body. So it's how do you read that? And then how do you work with it when it happens? And then when stuff comes up, how do you navigate that so your clients walk away feeling more refreshed, and you'll be able to charge more for your services. You'll probably get tipped more. There's all these benefits, but the biggest benefit is that you'll at the end of every day, you won't feel depleted. You won't feel like, "Oh my god." It is very rare that I spend a day with clients where I'm like, "Oh my god, I'm so tired." I'm tired from life sometimes, but I'm rarely tired from my clients. And what I love is sometimes I'll be like, "Oh my god, I'm so tired." And then the client comes in and it's their exhaustion. And then we work with it, we get done with the session, and I'm like, "I feel amazing," and they feel amazing. And so when you really hone in on your own intuitive capacities, it can completely change your life. And so if you would like to check out the Intuitive Energy course, please feel free. We've got some certain deadlines, but we will be closing the doors when class officially starts on May 15th. And if that is of interest to you, then I highly encourage you check it out. If you've checked it out and you want to be a part of the class, but you have some questions and you're like, I don't know if this is going to work for me. It's online for 3 months, and there's going to be live videos, right? Where you're teaching videos that we release every week. I've already started recording them. It's really exciting. Um, and and if you've been like, "Yes, I'm in, but I've got some questions, or I'm just not sure if I'm a right fit or if this is a right fit," you're welcome to book a 30-minute discovery session. I just showed it on the website with me for to be able to see if this is a right fit for you. And only book it if you're going to show up. If you're not going to show up, don't book it. You won't be able to remake the appointment if you miss it, because these are free. We're not charging for them. I'm offering them for people who are really interested in seeing if this course is a right fit for their life, for where they are in their journey, and for what's next. And so I really am grateful for all of you. And, my mission is to ah, give people a platform where they can trust themselves, and the more that we wake ourselves up, we wake the planet up. The more intentional we are with our words and our work and our energy, the more impact we make in the world. Even if you're not working with anyone, because guess what? It's not talked about enough, but we are very interconnected beings. And so, if all of my neighbors where I live were freaking happy, if everybody in the town that I live in was happy every day, I mean, come on, it would be a different world. And so, if we all do our part in showing up for our best selves every day, makes such a difference. And so, I just want to thank you for coming on live. If this video contributed to you and you'd like to share it, please share it with your friends. Click the link, put it on social media, put it where you think. It is on YouTube and Facebook. If you find it, share it. And I just want to thank you for taking the time to be here. If you're on social media and you want to be able to interact with us live on the website next time, katherinemcintosh.com/connect, and we'll be here. I look forward to seeing you. And those of you that are joining the course, can't wait for what we're going to create. And of course, there's going to be live interactive classes in which we get on Zoom together. And as you practice these sort of ideas and concepts and techniques, you'll also then be able to bring to the table the questions that you have as you practice, because there will be questions. You will have real life examples, and we're going to get together twice a week throughout the 3-month course to be able to answer any questions, support you in your journey, and help you become the best you know how to be. So it also then impacts you, your life, your dreams, your family, your clients, and beyond. So thanks for being here, and we will see you next time. Bye for now.